excited. You know, Phil Wilson, the deputy mayor, as well as James Gibbs, the founder and CEO of MeterFeeder. You know, we're here in Newark, we're here in downtown Newark, which a lot of great things are going on here. And we partner with a lot of organizations, a couple organizations that we partner with, like the Newark CDC, the Newark Department of Economic and Housing Development, the City of Newark, the Mayor Raj J. Baraka. And, you know, definitely it's a good time to be part of New Jersey's growing economic powerhouse. Talk a little bit about the brain trust initiatives and everything else. Feel free to join us. We're on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all that's available through links on the book as well. We've got different partners, sponsors that are participating with us. TD Bank, Mr. Ross is here. He runs the bank downtown or Mulberry Street. He's new to the area, so definitely say hello to him when you get a chance. Also, Fast Signs of Newark, Robert and Quay. They do great work. They do some work for us on buildings and other things. And then the Aflac Benefits Program, they provide a great service for small and medium-sized businesses in terms of long-term. Our agenda for today, starting off with the networking breakfast, doing the welcome now. In a second, Scott is going to introduce our special guest speaker, and then he's going to share a little bit about some of the great things that they're doing here in Newark to make it easier and more effective for businesses to come to Newark and also businesses who are here to be more successful and be able to get to the resources that they need. We've also got business organizational partners that we work with. And then finally, we're going to go to our featured guest speaker, James Gibbs, who's the CEO and founder of MeterFeeder. And he's really got a great message to share with us about creating new revenue streams. So it's going to be a pretty compact program, but it's going to be packed of information and very useful things. So just walking through some of the other people that we partner with. Minuteman Press always does a great job for us. Herb Glenn, We Care Partners, over there does videography for us, so if you have any videography and photography services. Miranda Edwards is the author of My Business Plan book. She's here with us today as well, and she's actually done a posting that workshop for us as well, which has tremendous feedback. So definitely, if you're looking at putting a business plan together, that makes it a lot easier. If you want to be successful, you want to figure out how to be most likely to succeed, so you might want to check out my brother's book as well, the Frazier Formula for Success. And then, we have our special guest speaker, so in the book, if you want to know a little bit more about him, we have his full bio available for you. Also have Newark's own fragrance company. We've got Mark over here. He's basically brands with purpose, and they have a great fragrance produced here in Newark, and actually is available nationally on TV. So, and it's going into different stores. So it's exciting to see his business grow. And actually, if you have your business card in there, and we're going to have a raffle for a box of the fragrance. And then finally, Samara Fleming does photography as well as done stuff for us, and as well we have A Plus Consulting with in the back there. Our expertise is in social media. Okay, and then we've got the featured guest speaker, James Gibbs, and his bio. A little bit about my bio background, and links and ways to connect with us and reach out to us. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We actually have a weekly newspaper and a YouTube channel. So definitely we're available to connect. So that's available. You can go into more detail on it, but just wanted to walk everybody through it to a little bit different. So now that we've gotten through doing, they're doing some great things here. I've had the pleasure of working with them, and they're looking to institute some great new things, and I think it will be very beneficial for a lot of businesses around here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Where's the power? All right.
The breakfast.
Yes, as you mentioned, my name is Scott Blow. I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Business Development Officer for Newark's Community Economic Development Corporation. And we bring you greetings from our great city, from our mayor. There's so much good happening in the city of Newark today, and we are really, really excited. We've just instituted programs like small business retail incubators. We've put entrepreneurs through a 16-week training boot camp and then moved them into a retail space that we've rented. That was for the first ward. We are doing that in each ward. We are now training the next group of entrepreneurs to open up a space in the West Ward, and we will continue that process. We are working on community cooperatives. We're working on many different types of programs to try to help create a strong and thriving business environment in our city. We are very excited. I am honored to have the opportunity to introduce to you our Deputy Mayor, Valle Adolfo Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. So my name is Valle Adolfo Wilson. I am the Deputy Mayor and Director of Economic and Housing Development for the City of Newark. I just want to get a show of hands. How many people here are small business owners? How many people are in sort of the real estate development field? And how many used to work for sort of larger companies and looking to sort of branch out, so they have a job right now, but still trying to transition to something else? Anybody? The reason I ask that is because I know you have a speaker here today that's going to sort of talk to you about creating different levels of financing and sort of flow. But what we're doing at the City of Newark is trying to provide service for all of you. Scott leads a team that really focuses on small business development. The corporation is really helping you find access to capital, human capital, as well as bank financing, getting you involved with different programs like the Urban Enterprise Zone, and trying to create the type of entrepreneurship that's really needed. We all know that entrepreneurs are the backbone of this economy, and especially in this type of community where there are so many services lacking. And in that creates a huge opportunity for the folks that are here to sort of fill that gap. Oftentimes I think about where people shop in Newark, and they all shop outside the city. If you look down the way section, may shop up 122. If you know Forge, may shop up 123. So going outside of the city, it's a great opportunity for folks that are here to provide those services in town at the same quality and expertise that happens outside of the city. Broader than that, what we've been doing is really trying to increase the economic development activity in the city of Newark. We have been focusing on real estate development, bringing corporations in. I think last week we may have had a record. We had 5 ribbon cuttings in 5 days. Diamond down in the Ironbound with the food trucks. We had Prudential ribbon cutting, ShopRite, Nike, and then the cupcake place on Academy Street. We had small businesses. We had 2 Fortune 500 companies. We had a manufacturing space. And we had a supermarket, all happening here last week. And so what we're seeing is that there's huge opportunities for businesses to come who are really interested in capturing this marketplace. It is not just the small business, but it's also the large business. Today, actually, one of the reasons I have to leave is that we have on the council agenda for the second reading a 5-year tax abatement for commercial and industrial properties throughout the city of Newark. For commercial properties that are outside of the downtown business district, for an existing building, if you're rehabbing it, you get 0 tax increases over the next 5 years. If it's new tax, if it's a new building under construction, it's a the increases go up from 20, 40, 60, 80 to 150 if they pull taxes. We're really focused on neighborhood development, and that's where, outside of the downtown core, because that's where there's a lot of opportunities for you, and for everyone, actually. In addition to that, we're doing, we have property management, we have a whole bunch of city-owned land. We're trying to sell all of them as quickly as possible, so we're going to have a whole bunch of land sales coming up to really provide folks opportunity on the residential side as well as the commercial side. On the planning aspect of it, we're really trying to expedite planning processes for development projects so that you don't get stuck and caught in some sort of queue that really slows down you making money. In the larger scheme of things, one of the things that we feel important is that we really feel that minority-owned and women-owned businesses are thrive with this increase in the economy that's taking place in New York. So we added to the tax abatement and to the first source agreement, 51% of the businesses that receive the tax abatement, they have to have 51% of the businesses that are part of that have to be either MBE or WBE business. It has to be at least 30% Newark businesses, and the labor has to be at least 51% Newark residents. So we're really focusing and funneling to the minority businesses, the women-owned businesses, and to the Newark residents opportunities to make money. There's a couple of $1 billion in the development pipeline right now. And we feel like it's really important that Newarkers and minority and women make that money in this environment, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. We already have recently lived through a recession/depression. And so what we're trying to do is take the key opportunity of the expansion of the market as it takes place today. There's a lot of ways to do that, and I think the next speaker will provide you with sort of those different ways of creating different financing opportunities. But what we're trying to do is make a bigger pie and make sure that everyone here gets a piece of it.
Thank you so much, Pai. Appreciate the update. As you can hear, there's a lot of good things going on here in Newark, and there's going to be more and more opportunities. And one thing that is great about the new administration and their team is they're being very creative with what they do. They're doing some new things that haven't been done here before, and some things that haven't even been done in other places. So it's a good time to be here, and definitely keeping in touch with them and knowing what's going on is key to being successful here in Newark. So while they're here, you should definitely, if you don't know, get a chance to meet them, say hello, and let them know who you are and what you're doing. One of the key things that they mentioned as well was there's a lot of business support organizations and organizations that work with businesses. One of the things we do here at the Power Breakfast is try and connect you with opportunities for support and help with your business. There's some great organizations, these are just some of them that we partner with. The Newark Regional Business Partnership is the chamber here at Newark. We've got the SBDC at Rutgers, as well as the state is here at Newark. Institute for Entrepreneurial Leadership does a lot of great things here in Newark as well. Ford Ever Sustainable Business Alliance, Executive Director Karen is right here with us. And they're doing a lot of things on the grassroots level, as well as buying local here and working with small businesses and helping them get the resources and connections that they need. We've got Rising Tide Capital out of Jersey City, but they just set up a location here in Newark, and they're growing and training entrepreneurs and business owners. We've got Greater Newark Enterprise Corporation, and they're a micro-lender, so they do small loans, and we've got someone here from Greater Newark Enterprises. So if you're looking for a loan, you may want to come over and check them out, see what they're all about. So we've got a lot of great organizations. So these are just some of them, but just wanted to put them up. We always have representatives from many of them. So part of the opportunity here is to make the connections that you need. We also have a lot of great partners and support that have worked with us throughout the year. Each year we do the quarterly events, and these are just some of the ones that we've been for a while that we put out. We actually have as a community. They're always here, provide a great magazine in the area as well. We got Friends with Purpose, we got Care Partners. So definitely, these are some great organizations that we work with, and we look forward to working with everyone. So if there's an opportunity to partner, definitely open to it. We'd love to do that. Okay, so wanted to come to the key point. The main reason we're here and wanted to bring everybody together is to really learn something that can be valuable for your organization. I'd like to introduce our featured guest speaker, Jim Gibbs. The topic is creating new revenue streams, and that's important for all businesses and organizations nowadays. And it's not just important for businesses; it's important for individuals. Having diversification and creating new ways to bring in cash flow and income is important because there's so much more competition. Technology's changing the playing field, so if you're not changing, you're actually moving backwards. So he's going to talk to you about some ways that you can be more effective at it and how you should be thinking in terms of looking for industry. I had a chance to spend some time with him. He's out of Pittsburgh, where I grew up, so definitely that's a big plus. And he's doing some great things. His company is growing significantly, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what he does. But he has more than 15 years' experience working with other companies as well as his own companies and growing revenues in creative ways. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Jim Gibbs up to share some of his expertise.
Hi, my name is Jim Gibbs, and I am here from Pittsburgh. Originally, I'm from Long Island, New York. People don't usually believe me until I say it ridiculous like that. But yeah, it's actually kind of funny that we were just talking about depression, recessions, and things like those. As we look at business climate, it looks like we're closer to another recession than further away from it. And I feel as though keeping away from the bubble is finding new revenue streams. There's actually a joke that's going around, making its way across the internet. 1 million people walk into a bar in Silicon Valley. No one buys anything, and it's considered a resounding success. If you don't get it, that's the reason why we feel as though we're getting into a bubble, right? I mean, if you look at Facebook, you go to Facebook, you don't buy anything. It's a $100 billion company, right? So, yeah, I'll get into that later. So, as I said, I'm Jim Gibbs, CEO and co-founder of MeterFeeder Incorporated. MeterFeeder is a mobile application that enables people to pay for parking from their smartphone. So it's kind of like what you currently have here in Newark. The only thing is, hello. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's kind of like the application that you currently have here in Newark. The only difference is actually if they decided to take out the exclusivity clause, they would all of a sudden basically magically start receiving checks from us. We'd make it super easy for integration. So from the smallest municipalities that have coin meters all the way into the bigger cities, we can handle anything, lots, garages, and valet. All right. And by the way, we're currently in the App Store and Google Play, and we're actually rolling out a web version soon, so feel free to keep an eye out for that. All right, so let's start off with what makes a bad revenue stream. So, of course, course, it's a revenue stream, so you're making money, you know. It always seems like it's good to make money, but you need to make maintainable money, you know. If you're making money and you realize that no one wants it, so for example, in the world of parking, if all I did was give people parking tickets, you know, there'll be people who try to hack the system to make sure that I don't get money, right? You know, there's these things called angels, and they sit around and wait for people's parking meters to go all the way to expire, and then they throw quarters in real quick, just so the parking enforcement officer can't write that ticket, right? So not only do people not want it, but it's not maintainable, so, you know, eventually the people who are hacking the system are probably going to win. So there's another really good example of a non-maintainable, no one wants it type of revenue stream. Banner ads. Now, I'm not saying that banner ads are all terrible, but I mean, you have to actually look to try to find the content on this page. You know, I mean, if you're molested with so many advertisements, I mean, you don't even know what to focus on. So, actually, by show of hands, how many people have purposefully clicked on a banner ad? Okay, 2. Well, you're throwing off my numbers now. Because I actually did a survey. And under 18, 18 to 25, 26 to 35, 35 to 50, and over 50, no one had purposely ever clicked a banner ad. And I know that we have some political people in here, so I also broke it down by Democrats and Republicans. So, I mean, it goes beyond that, right? I'm a tech guy. I've been programming since 1983. So, if you look at the numbers, like these are news organizations. The yellow is how long the ad took to download, to show up on your screen. The rest of that is where the actual news article loaded, right? So you're waiting all of that time in order to actually get to the information that you're looking for, right? So a perfect example, when I go to something like Forbes.com and it shows up with a full screen ad, the first thing I do is I shut it off. I'm like, I'm not coming here to learn about like hair growth. You know, well, why am I coming here? I'm coming here to read the article. I'm trying to get something. And I actually included USA Today on the bottom because I helped build that site. So, okay. So a way for us to get in the right direction. Just listen to different areas of your business, right? I know in the software industry, we have quality assurance. Quality assurance, there's a lot of pain in quality assurance. Everybody's complaining about something in quality assurance. Support, you know, people are, the reason why you have support is people are calling to complain about something, right? Sales, like, you're always talking to someone in sales. The more people that you speak to, the more you can start learning more about, you know, people who are using your product, right? So then, when you take that information, you just do a little bit of research. Can I monetize that? Can I actually, does the monetization, is it worth it? You know, with me, it's a little bit more worth it because all I have to do is buy my wife flowers and say, I'm sorry I got to work for another night, but, you know, I mean, just figure out what the return on investment is going to be. So a perfect example of that is the Pittsburgh parking, the parking situation. So they were using coins, and someone had the bright idea to rip out all of the meters and put in kiosks. And the people went, the parking authority went a little bit bananas. They were like, why would you want to make it easier for people to pay when we make so much money in tickets? Right? Now, I mean, think about that for a second. You're making people upset, right? No one wants to pay tickets. So what they ended up doing, you know, the kiosks ended up winning. So they ripped out all the meters, and they put in all of these kiosks. And the kiosks weren't cheap, but the people were right. They did lose a pretty substantial amount of money in ticket revenue. They lost about $100,000 in ticket revenue. But they made an extra $7 million in people paying for parking. You know, so it's like all of a sudden people are happy because they're not getting parking tickets, and the people who said put the kiosks in, they're happy because they made an extra $7 million, right? So happiness all around. So to wrap up, identify the pain points of your clients and your users, right? They always have something to say. Brainstorm in ways to solve the issues. So once you get your list of issues, just figure out, like, how can I solve it? And will people pay for it? Don't be afraid to send out a survey. You know, there's great survey tools out there like Woofoo and SurveyMonkey. Well, actually, SurveyMonkey bought Woofoo. So SurveyMonkey, go make yourself a survey, send it out to people, and figure out what, you know, what's their pain points? How can you solve it? Yes, and will people pay for it? And then what's the return on investment? If it's going to take you 25 years to pay it back, it might not be worth it. You know, if it's one of those things where, you know, oh, I paid this out, and next year and year over year, I'm going to be doing 125, go for it. And then finally, just execute. That is really all. That is it. So I would like to actually open up for questions if anyone has any. A few slides back? How many slides back?
A couple slides back. Slides.
Slides?
No.
That slide?
Words. This slide. That slide.
Bad revenue streams. Okay. How can I help you?
Could you break it down? Bad revenue streams. What?
Some examples.
Yeah. Some examples and say what is actually meant by a bad. In other words, making money
Right.
doing something wrong. Is that what it?
I mean, for example, I mean, the best way for me to explain it is if people begrudgingly pay you, right? If someone is just upset because, oh, you're around again, you know, like, you know, you hear about those guys, it's like, hey, I'm here for my protection money, you know.
Yeah.
That's a bad revenue stream. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, the people are just sitting around like, I'm going to figure out a good way and not have to pay you anymore, you know. I mean, like, I actually remember, like, this was a long time ago, like, back when I was on Long Island, like, I saw the Lilco bill, and I was like, man, I gotta figure out a way where I don't have to pay this person, like, this lighting company anymore. And all of a sudden, solar panels came out, and I was like, shh, I'm on it, right? Same thing with gasoline. You know, like, everybody's like, oh, well, or so on and so forth. As soon as I could afford an electric car, I bought one. And I drive it every single day. And when people are like, oh, gas price is so high, right now they're low. But next thing you know, you're going to be like, gas price is so high. I'm going to be like, I'm in my electric car. Right? So, I mean, it's okay to start off with a bad revenue stream, right? So, for example, if you're rolling out with a service and a banner ad is the only way that you can pay the bills, at least have, I mean, at least have a way where you can make a lot of money in the future, right? So banner ads are generally like small margin. If there's a way for you to come up with an idea to get big margins and make a lot of money, then that's how you end up being successful in business. Yes?
I
Okay.
have a question that was not specifically mentioned in your presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Everyone's talking about ways to make money on the internet.
Okay.
What are some of the trends, modern day trends, and the cycle in terms of the span of time that it takes to get a return on investment?
Okay. That's a very difficult question to answer,
Okay.
right? Reason being, so we know that there's lots of startups, and there's more and more, they call them unicorns or the billion-dollar business, right? Popping up every day. So one of the things is, like, some of those companies are still losing money at an alarming rate. But meanwhile, they're worth $1 billion, right? So if you're talking about, like, what's your return on investment, like, or, you know, they're losing money, but if they turn around and sold the business, they immediately have a return on investment of $1 billion. So it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer, but as far as the trends that are currently happening is cutting out that's exactly it. It's cutting out the people that you don't want to pay anymore, right? Like, how many times have I been standing in Manhattan trying to hail a cab, and then all of a sudden they just drive past me because I look funny, right? Now, I pull my phone out, I hit Uber, and they pick me up, right? I don't want to pay the taxi company anymore. The taxi company is now complaining because Uber is stealing all their business, but meanwhile, I'm like, you didn't want to pick me up in the first place. So, that sort of disruption of, I don't want to give you my money, so I'm going to go with your alternative.
Thank you.
Since a lot of us are small business owners and you're involved in apps and the mobile industry,
Mm-hmm.
can you talk a little bit about what a small business can do to take advantage of the trend toward mobile?
Okay.
Everything is moving there.
Right. Actually, I did a lot in, like, mobile retail, and we see the graph, right? It's like desktop transactions are going like this, mobile retails are going like this. So, yeah, going in the mobile direction is definitely one of the things that you need to do. Is there a certain, is there anything in particular that you were?
Well, one is, we talk about mobile responsive websites.
Right.
Another question would be, for most small businesses, I don't know how much an app costs, but is there an advantage to also investing in an app?
Right.
And just for starters.
Okay, so I'm saying this as an app developer. One of the things that I kind of laugh about is, like, an app is pretty much a website that you can't zoom in on. I mean, if there's certain specific things that you need to handle within the device, then yes, by all means, go the app direction. But a lot of people, they're just like, oh, well, I want to sell my t-shirts. I'm going to make an app. It's like, why are you going to make an app? Because, you know, now you have to maintain the iOS code base, and then you need to maintain the Android code base and the Windows code base and the Android Fire and so on and so forth. Whoever comes out next, right? So if you just display it on the web, anyone can see it anywhere. So as far as I'm concerned, if it's not something that's like memory intensive, you're not talking about video games or anything along those lines, just stick to the web. If you make a responsive website, when you speak to a developer about doing your responsive website, look at things that they've done and ask if you can get in contact with their previous people. Because one of the things that you'll notice is something, oh yeah, sure, I could do that. And then it's like you give them a check and it's like, where'd you go?
Yeah.
And then they stop answering your phone calls. The next thing you know, you're just like, oh, you didn't know how to do that, and you just went and paid your bills with my down payment. And okay, so yeah, I mean, we can keep in contact. If you want me to vet someone, just let me know.
Talk a little bit about your business model, because you were mentioning that what you're doing is non-exclusive. So what do you do about competition?
Competition, we are about a tenth actually, we're free, okay? But we're about 10 times as better. So the thing that we try to do is just make sure that every single thing that we do, we blow the competition out of the water. So if it's one of those situations where they're like, oh, well, we already have this app. Well, our contract expires in 6 months. Okay, we'll see if you can negotiate getting out the exclusivity. You get rid of the exclusivity and, we can move in. You don't have to do anything different. If you're using someone for enforcement, that's great. We'll just integrate with the person that you're enforcing with and, you're off to the races. That's pretty much it. Just beat everybody to the punch and make a better mousetrap.
I'm wondering if you could speak to profit. So
Okay.
people often say that new businesses don't make a profit until year whatever.
Right.
How do you answer that as it relates to how you monetize?
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess a simple way to think about it is if you can take a look and see how much it costs for you to get one user, right? And then you see how much money you make back from that user. Okay? If the money you make back from that user is greater than the money it takes to get that user, you just throw more money into it. So you lose a little bit of money, but then all of a sudden your user base just keeps going up and up and up. Eventually it'll level off, I mean, if you hit 7 billion people, you're not going to get any more people, So it's just one of those situations where you just go up until you start seeing it flatline. And it's like, once it starts to plateau, then you're good. You don't have to spend any more money to get those users. So that drops off. And then all of a sudden, like your user base is right here, and then your cost goes down like this, and then that margin right there is all money going into your pockets.
Well, a lot of times what people do is they forget and they don't know exactly how to determine if they're making money. So in the case of, say, a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing your menu,
Yep,
you have to take into consideration
absolutely.
all the costs.
Absolutely. I mean, see, and that's one of the things. It's like, if your sous chef is taking in, like, you're paying him per night what you're bringing in that night, then, you need to have a conversation. If it doesn't look like you'll be able to pay your line cooks next week, that's a really big problem. So even if you're talking about, I mean, are you more of a restaurant, Okay, I was about to say, like, should I get into, like, stage and all that stuff? But
No, I was just using that as an example in terms of how people build out their pricing.
Right.
Because they might say, oh, this hamburger costs $10, but they didn't take into consideration all the costs.
That's what you need to do. That's, as a business owner, that's what you need to do. You need to be like, okay, it's going to cost me this much gas to drive down to the farm and pick up that cow. And it's going to cost me this much gas in order to come back, this much electricity in order to run my business that long. And it's one of those things that comes with experience. But you need to just do as much research as you possibly can. And then after you've done all your research, like, double it, because something's bound to go wrong. And then, yeah, you should have a pretty good idea, so that if everything goes wrong, you're still, making a couple pennies. But if things start going right, all of a sudden you start making even more.
To add to that, is there a formula for intellectual capital? You're a services provider. There's costs that are tangible, but then there's intellectual capital that also should be
Right.
factored into your service price.
Right, yeah. I know with, when I was doing like websites and things like that, it's kind of like lawyers. If you ever go to a lawyer, I feel like I offended my lawyer once when I called him a professional copy and paster. Because, I mean, he wrote these amazing documents, and it's not like he needs to go and write it over and over again, because I need a quick turnaround. So all he's going to do is go back to one of his older documents, copy and paste it, and then charge me what he did the first time he wrote it, So are you talking about something specific, like something that's...
Consulting,
Yeah.
things like that, because the pricing for those different consultants is based to me on experience, intellectual, and that to me is the intellectual capital.
And that's the exact thing, like I would be able to charge more when I was doing software development, just because, if you got such and such down the street to go and do your website, they'll be like looking on the internet, trying to figure everything out, so on and so forth, and it's like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna charge you like $10 an hour, and all of a sudden it takes him 100 hours, and then I'm like, oh, I'll charge you $100 an hour, and I'm like, well, here it is a half hour later, so I'm still charge you that $100, but you end up saving so much more, and you have a more quality product just because you decide to go with a more expensive, well-seasoned person.
One other thing we talked a lot about, and maybe a good way to leave off, is we talked about bad revenue streams. What are the, we talked about some of the hallmarks of good revenue streams that you should be looking for.
Right.
We talked a little bit about it, repeatable, increasing, positive, but maybe giving as many examples of those as possible, because a lot of our business owners looking at how we're going to make more money and be more successful over the long term.
Right.
Sometimes we're rushing, but there's a few things that you should be thinking about, which you will share, and that would be helpful just to take as takeaways.
Gotcha. Yeah, with my own business, I wish I could share them with you because I got some real good revenue streams in there. But, we don't have the market share just quite yet. And before our competitors figure out what we're doing, we need to kind of keep on moving. But, yeah, all in all, you have a good revenue stream when people, they smile when they're giving you money. That's kind of the direction that you want to go. And that's how you know that, you're set up to make a lot of money. When we started developing our application, our mantra was, we need to make an application that people love, right? Because if I give the application to you, and you love it, you can turn right next to I love this app. And you're like, yeah, I love it too. And you just spread that love around. I like spreading love. And it's like the entire time you're smiling, and you're paying me, and you're getting your friends to come along and give me money too. I appreciate that. I got a wife and 3 kids and 1 on the way. So I'm glad that people are happy giving me money. But at the same time, in your line of work, I pretty much, wherever your line of work is, there is a way where you can please people and continue to make money. And usually when you please people, that's when you know that you'll have a sustainable business and you can scale up your business pretty quickly.
Thank you very much. And thanks for sharing some great things and good conversation, great questions, and you can have another round of applause. Great. So I hope that everyone has learned a few things, or at least have got some ideas and are thinking about things a little bit different. We always try to bring a little different perspective, and I think this is great because it's timely and it's something that's important to anyone who's in business, personally or professionally. Well, go with this. So, definitely thanks again, Jim, for sharing. Thank you, everyone here, for participating in the Power Breakfast. What we normally do is we'll have a business card drawing, but we also try to finish up a little bit early. We start a little bit late and finish up a little bit early because part of the experience is getting a chance to meet everybody in the room. We've got some great people here. Hopefully connected with people at your tables. We've got a lot of tremendous food, so don't be vegetables out if you're, once